Here's my dinner. I got some dry seaweed from the Asian food store and hydrated it. And I blended it with apple, a little bit of fennel, some turnip greens, and spring water. And what else did I put in here? Oh, a little bit of berries and some banana. And I blended them all together. And this is my dinner. And you know what? I thought that combination would taste terrible, but it's actually quite tasty. I'm trying to go vegetarian, the paleo diet, because I weigh about 134 pounds, but I want to get down to about 127. And I think I can do that on the paleo diet, which means I'm going to cut out meat, and I might have egg every now and then, but so this is my dinner, and then I'm going to make some miso soup. I'll have a little bit of cooked food. I'm going to have some miso soup with tofu and seaweed in it. My body loves the seaweed, so I want to continue that. And I just turned 57 on September the 15th, so I'd say for 57, I don't look too bad, right? So I'm trying to I think I remembered everything in here. Anyways, I blended it all together, but this thing's leaking a little bit, so I'm gonna have, this is my dinner, and let's go ahead and have this. The seaweed, believe it or not, it tastes like a Japanese dessert. The Japanese have like an agar jello dish that they make from seaweed, and it's really good. I'm surprised. I think I remembered all the ingredients. It's fresh apple, banana. Good. And yeah, turnip green, so it's really healthy. I'm thinking of going to get some spirulina to get my iron. I always have a problem with iron, even when I eat red meat. And I was reading online from somebody who's really good. I'll have a link to her underneath. She sounds like she's from Russia, though she won't say where she's from. But this is my dinner. I just took this with some Seroquel. You can see a little bit of seaweed here. I go for a walk every day because Jesus instructed me to do that. For breakfast, I had another smoothie. I had berries, about 2 cups of berries with a little bit of yogurt. It's basically the same thing like I showed in my last video. I would like to advertise my new book. Those of you who have not gotten The Forbidden Abyss Part 1, I have a book out called Catherine of King David. And in that book, I basically took the chapter called Catherine the Great and King David and took it out of the Forbidden Abyss Part 1, because that chapter kind of was on a different subject. And it's all about my ancestors on both my father's side and my mother's side, and how I ended up with the genes of, I am literally the reincarnation of Catherine the Great and King David. And this book shows how my ancestors carried the royal genes so that I ended up with them. The Jesuits have been trying to keep this top secret. They've targeted me since my birth because of my Catherine the Great and King David genes. And this book goes into that. So you may want to check it out at Amazon. I put it up there with a nice cover, which I'm really proud of. I did the drawings for Catherine the Great and King David and kind of put them diagonally next to my picture. And you may want to check the book out at Amazon if you did not purchase The Forbidden Abyss Part 1. And if you did purchase The Forbidden Abyss Part 1, I added a little extra in there that was slightly different from what was in that chapter. But it's pretty much that chapter with me making some minor modifications to make it fit into a little book. It's a fascinating story about my ancestors. My Catherine the Great genes come through the Oshu Fujiwara family. And you will never have heard of those people unless you're from Japan. And even some people from Japan are not familiar. They were the northern Japanese powerhouse around 1000 AD. You may say, well, how could you get your Catherine the Great genes from them? And that's what's fascinating about this history, is it's not so much that I'm descended from Catherine the Great, but that Catherine the Great and I come from the same gene pool. And I don't think it was a coincidence. I think what the Lord did was he took the fact that my genes were from the same gene pool as Catherine the Great, the same Germanic gene pool, and he just made sure that all the genes lined up so that I would be Catherine the Great and King David. I think the Lord did that at my birth. So I said, it's a miracle that they came out this way. I am literally the reincarnation of Catherine the Great and King David. So I invite you to check out the book. It has a really nice cover at Amazon. The link to it will be underneath this video. Anyways, so I just turned 57, and I haven't heard from my men in a while. I think they're very busy. I think they're fighting for my writing proceeds or something like that. That's what I've heard, brain to brain, but brain to brain has been very inaccurate. And I'm going to switch over to a paleo diet, and I'm trying to go mostly raw. There's a lady who, she has a website that she calls Levitarian, I think. She's, I'll have a link to her underneath this video. She seems really good, and I have a problem with inflammation in my body too, so I'm going to try to get that under control and see if that will, that's probably going to help me lose weight too. It's like a detoxification diet. I have noticed if I eat raw and eat liver promoting foods that I lose weight, and also I feel better. But I find that I have to eat a lot of seaweed to sleep good at night because I get leg cramps, restless leg syndrome, which I believe in my case is caused by iron deficiency. And you can get restless leg syndrome from iron deficiency. This particular germ that I'm infected with, this yeast bacterium, makes a toxin, and I have all the toxin leftovers in my body. And that toxin, for some odd reason, leaches onto the iron. I think it chemically bonds with iron in my body. So because of this infection, I always tend to be iron and B vitamin deficient, like B12. And so I'm going to, but Jesus didn't tell me to cut out red meat, but I'm going to experiment because I'm sort of on a limited budget and I don't really have money to eat. You know, eating healthy is a little bit more expensive, but I think if I go vegetarian, I'll be able to manage. By cutting out dairy and meat, and I am not going to totally cut out dairy and meat, but I'm going to really make the amount a lot smaller. I think it'll do wonders for my budget and maybe my health. So the only dairy I have right now is a Greek non-fat plain yogurt. And I put that in my smoothies. So the liquid I used for this was just water. So it's really quite tasty. And it feels like it might be filling too. I'm going to try to cut back on my carbs, though I'm probably going to have brown rice and maybe brown rice pasta a little bit every day, but not too much. I don't think we need a whole bunch of carbs. So anyways, check out my new book. I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be changing my diet. I'm going more paleo than Mediterranean. I was kind of a blend between the two. The paleo diet is, I think, the best diet for me. I'm not saying this would be true for everybody because you have to listen to your body. Because of my yeast bacterium infection, I have big problems with inflammation, and the paleo diet is a very good anti-inflammatory diet, so I'll be going with that, and which is mostly vegetarian. A big problem for me is iron and B12 deficiency, so I'm going to see if I can manage the paleo diet without getting anemic. And there's different kinds of anemia. There's iron anemia and B12 anemia. I'm going to try adding spirulina and taking that together with a vitamin C rich food to enhance the iron absorption and see if that'll do it. Maybe I don't need the meat. So we'll see. And that way I can afford to eat healthy. See, if you eat vegetarian, it doesn't cost as much. And that's one way to eat healthy. Anyways, check out my book about my fascinating ancestors. I even look like the blind. Oh, by the way, the drawing that I have of King David on the cover of my book, Jesus said the drawing is very accurate. He said that's what King David looked like. And I think it's hard to get accurate drawings of Catherine the Great. I think the Jesuits are trying to keep accurate drawings of Catherine the Great from making it because they don't want people to see how close I am to her. She had a long nose, and she looked very much like me. I drew a pretty good, accurate picture of her. It's on the cover of my book. So check out the link underneath about my book.